Well, welcome everyone to the SBDC's weekly virtual classroom. We keep building on this every week, and we'll have more interesting, exciting classes coming up. For those of you who aren't familiar with the SBDC, we are the Illinois Small Business Development Center at Rockford Chamber of Commerce. And what the Small Business Development Center is it's a network throughout Illinois that provides information, confidential business guidance, training, and other resources to starting and existing small businesses. So I'd like to make some brief introductions of my colleagues that are on the call from the SBDC. Again, my name is Heather Kelly. I handle social media, public relations, digital marketing consultation for the SBDC. And Mike Mastriani, I thought I saw him jump on the call. Mike is also a consultant. He specializes in human resources questions and training, and also business planning. And Edward Caceres, he's our director. He specializes in business planning, also social media, website, and video consultation and training. With that, Vince Shirelli is also a consultant with the SBDC, and he specializes in accounting, business planning, and any business entity questions that you may have for your business. And Vince, I will turn it over to you to introduce our speaker.
All right, well, thank you, and thanks and welcome everybody. Once again, I'm Vince Shirelli. I'm a consultant with the SBDC, so if you need any financial help or financial projections for starting your business or your existing business, you can always reach me. And like Heather said, we're here to introduce Chris Wachowiak. Chris is a friend of mine and a great marketing guru here in Rockford. He's been an entrepreneur for many years with multiple different types of businesses, but his new business, or newish business for the past couple of years, is Ronin Branding. So I'm going to turn it over to him and let him tell you who he is and give you guys a little presentation. So take it on, Chris.
Well, thank you very much, Vince and Edward and Heather and everyone, for allowing me to be part of this. I appreciate it. It's going to be hopefully worth your time. I'm going to be talking a little bit about branding and branding boldly and the idea of what branding is. And whenever we talk about branding or I talk about business, I always want to know, how does it end? How does this experience end for you and for your customers, for those who you're going to be providing a service, an idea, or your brand to? So we always start with, how does it end? So that's what we're going to start with. I'm going to start with the end. Hope you enjoyed this. Another thing we're talking about here multiple times is my patent pending 3 steps to guarantee any success, money back guarantee, obviously, for this free seminar. But you can use this seriously in anything, and I use this in every format. Vince has heard this 1,000 times. The first step is this. This is the first step. The second step is that. And third is the other thing. So it's this, that, and the other thing. Those are my 3 steps to guarantee success in anything, in ways I look at everything that I do related to business, branding, marketing, and even life. So a little background. This idea came to me when I was on Kryptonite. And we were talking at our staff meeting about, in a restaurant bar business, there's 3 pillars to success, they would say. Those are, you have to have a good product, a good service, and a good price. If you have all 3 of those things, you have a better chance of success. If you have 2 of those things, you got to be pretty good at those 2 things to outweigh the third. And if you only have 1, you got to be awesome at it in order to really stand out and have success. Now, with social media and the idea of way bad press goes and the way people spread good news, it's not always the same. So good press doesn't get told nearly as much as bad press. So you have to create a wow factor. So the idea of this, that, and the other thing came up. This being, you have to have good service, or that could be good service, price, product. You see how they get intertwined. It gives a little liberty. But the other thing now, that wow factor, you have to go above those three things. So what are the wow factor? For us, it was craft beer at that time. We got really known for craft beer. Then when everybody got in the craft beer market or the wagon, we went into bourbons. So we did these little adjustments all along the way, always creating these other things. So the other thing might have been, we did original live music, where Vince's band also played a lot of times. So that was a pivot from the norm, because everybody did cover bands at the time, so we focused on original. But then we noticed that we needed to grow and experience market base of community. And what that means now is the people like craft beer most likely would like original live music. And those who like original live music might like visual arts, like actual paintings and digital performances, different types of art. So we started incorporating different art atmospheres in the upstairs. So you see the other thing keeps evolving. There's always these other things, because when Heather might come into Kryptonite, she might not like craft beer, she might want wine. So we had, your basic options, red, white, or pink. It wasn't something that they would rave about, but it was something they wouldn't complain about. And if Vince brought Heather down, odds are she would now have something fun or something in common and wouldn't be dreading to get out of there because it's not meeting her vibe or her experience expectations. So that's what I mean about this, that, and the other thing, and where it came from. And you'll see it now evolve into what my whole marketing and branding concepts are. So, thank you. Right here. Appreciate it, Jason. It's a prop for later. So, what is advertising? Webster's Dictionary, go-to, right? It's a promotional of a particular product or company by means of advertising distinctive design. The process of branding should be considered in global terms. So there's some thoughts there, but I think they're wrong. I think they're wrong answers. That's just my opinion. And I should state this in here for your guys' own legal clarification, that my opinions do not reflect the SBDC's opinions on advertising and marketing. These are my personal opinions built over years of making lots of mistakes and observations. Elon Musk is someone I enjoy, and he has this quote: "We don't buy advertising." And I assume everyone's familiar with Tesla or Elon Musk. I'm going to make that assumption. And we can play this for a minute. I'll be right back.
Me. Heard of you? Who hasn't heard of yogurt?
Yogurt the wise. Yogurt the all-powerful.
Yogurt the magnificent. Please, don't make a fuss. I'm just plain yogurt.
But you're the one.
Yes, I am the keeper of a greater magic, a power known throughout the universe as the Force? No, the Schwartz. Schwartz. Yes, the Schwartz. But yogurt, what is this place? What is it that you do here? Merchandising. Merchandising? What's that? Merchandising. Come, I'll show you. Open up this door. Come, walk this way. Take a look. We put the picture's name on everything. Merchandising, where the real money from the movie is made. Spaceballs the t-shirt. Spaceballs the coloring book. Spaceballs the lunchbox. Spaceballs the breakfast cereal. Spaceballs the flamethrower. The kids love this one. Last but not least, Spaceballs the doll. Me. Schwartz be with you. Adorable.
So that, in essence, is what marketing is all about. I'm going to do a quick little cheat here and fix my microphone now. You might notice a little difference in the audio now. Oh. I don't want to play that again. I want to skip. Here we go. So why is that important? What is really advertising? What is the mediums that you can do it on? Advertising, if done right, and branding, if done right, is an experience. What is the experience? Remember, we start with the end of the beginning. What is the end experience you're looking to have with your customer? And how do you resonate with them? Because everybody talks about social media, how to advertise online, you know, Facebook, Instagram. Great. If that works for you, great. I'm not a big fan of it personally. I use it by all means, and I usually share pictures of my kids and dog on there you never asked to see. But as far as soliciting my brand, I do it through experiences. And that's what I encourage my customers to do. And the thing about sharing experiences on a level like this is you have to be real and you have to be vulnerable. And you have to admit when things go sideways. And know that not everything you do is going to resonate with everyone. And that's okay, because you should know your tribes, you should know your niches, and know your community. If you know your niche, there's a greater chance of getting rich. Okay? So, Elon Musk doesn't do advertising, but he did sell a flamethrower. And the amazing thing about this is that he doesn't buy any ads. And this is something that I call a counterintuitive way of advertising that I practice. And I didn't realize that I was thinking on the same lines as Elon Musk when I was doing it. I call it a way of advertising that my customers pay me to advertise to them. Let me say it one more time. My customers pay me to advertise to them. And how is that possible? Well, it's doing things like t-shirts. Elon Musk did it by flamethrowers. And he called it the Boring Company. He really created another thing for this. However, this is a quote from Matthew McConaughey's Green Lights. If you haven't heard that audiobook or bought the book or read it, it's a phenomenal book. But I highly suggest the audiobook because he's so animated while reading it. And this is an essence of, we all, sorry guys, I hope there's no kids on this, but we all fuck up from time to time. We all make mistakes. But the idea of authenticity is the faster you own it, the faster you can move on, and it might build your brand along the way. So Elon Musk's flamethrower creates some backlash. Highly insensitive, they say. You know, how can you sell thousands of flamethrowers in these times? These times. You know, this time it was the wildfires going on in California. So for an entrepreneur, problems are what? Opportunities. Bad press is what? Opportunities. The boring flamethrower. For those who had a problem with the flamethrower, you can get a fire extinguisher. Of course, you're happy to buy them. By the way, the flamethrowers sold at $500. These fire extinguishers sold for $100 a piece. That tells you something about the power of advertising, if done right. Obstacles are opportunities. This is one of my biggest beliefs, and this is how I approach everything I do with that 3-tier step of this, that, and the other thing. So, problem. The flamethrowers, it can cause a fire. Opportunity, chance to sell something new. They sold a fire extinguisher. I practice this in my own business. We call it, Vince, you've owned restaurants and bars, and some of you guys might know this, but one of the biggest complaints out there is did the reel backwards, but bar owners are always upset about people stealing their glasses. When I go to full screen, I'll show us again. But the idea of people stealing bar glasses all the time, which I'll show you as an obstacle and opportunity. Why is this not moving forward? What happened, technology? Oh, it's because it's at the end of it. That's why. So I'll go off screen share. All right. So my Vince, I'm seeing you. Is it still me in the main screen? Dumb that might sound.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So the obstacle is the opportunity. And we talk about experience, we talk about branding. So this is the biggest complaint we'd always hear from bar owners, that people are stealing my pint glasses. I did this almost 18 years ago. And what I did was I put on the back, because we renamed ourselves multiple times, crypto. So Kryptonite insisted I took this. All right. And we had our callback information we call breadcrumbs, where you can have the website. At this time, it was MySpace. So MySpace is a hot thing for some of you those who remember that. And some of you too young. That's just ridiculous. I'm that old. MySpace was our callback, a breadcrumb. So the obstacle was people are stealing these. The opportunity was people are stealing these and putting them into their homes, is what I thought. So what happened was we paid, I believe it was 97 cents a piece for these at the time. And in a matter of 3 months, we went through just about 1,400 of them. So in essence, we spent about $1,400 on this promotion. Anyone's bought a radio ad, you're looking at least $1,000 to $2,000 for a simple radio ad. A TV ad, a couple grand. And newspaper ad, if you still read newspapers, a couple $100. And social media pushes, a couple $100. Or 17 years later, if I post this today, and I'll post this after this, you guys can look on social media, just showing this, and you'll see all the comments of people still holding these and having these and sharing images of where they have it. It's an amazing thing. 17 years later, the best 97 cents I've ever spent. That's what promotional products do. It's an experience. And what I saw my customers doing before, Facebook was a thing, is that when they're having house parties and people still got together before COVID, they would literally hang out and they would show their friends and their covers like, no, I didn't steal it. They insisted I took this. I did not steal. I was told to take it. In fact, it would have been wrong of you not to take it. So thank you for all those who took it, because I wasn't kidding when I insisted it. That's obstacle meets opportunity. And if you're doing your brand, or if you're doing your experience, let's work that backwards now. So when I created that, I already knew in the back of when I was going to do this, what my end customer was going to do with it. They were going to show people and get a delight and a little bit of joy, showing like normally it's taboo to steal something. So I'm not being bad, I'm doing them a favor, and you created an opportunity for them to communicate passionately about your brand. And it was starting then when I really started to understand the idea and the concept of community. And you'll hear me use that a lot. And the idea of community and tribe, you can use it interchangeably, are those that are passionate about either an idea, a concept, a style. It could be many things. It could be music. Think about when you go onto your Facebook pages or your social media groups and you start looking for interest, from photography to, could be 3D printing, it could be painting. Those are your tribes of who you're doing business with. The ideas out there of the 9-to-5 jobs in these big corporations, you can do that, and you can do what's called a side hustle. I think it was just Super Bowl that they heard a rework of the Dolly Parton song, the 9-to-5, working 9 to 5. They have now working 5 to 9. What a way to make a living. So you're doing that after the hours of your normal day job, and you're now working on what you're passionate about. And let me just quickly describe something I think is important, the idea between a business and a hobby. This is my litmus test for what's the difference. A hobby is something you pay to do, and a business is something pays you to do it. So if I were out there selling these for $1 a piece, but I was paying $2 to make it, that would be considered a hobby, because that's how I boil down. But that same opportunity, when it comes to doing events, and we'll talk about events in a second, that same pint glass, and I mean literally the exact same pint glass, now becomes an opportunity for an event to sell advertising, merchandising. Well, it actually can be a fundraiser for doing an event. So we did an event at the Burpee, and to help pay for it, I got Granite City and Old Chicago, which could also be at the time considered competitors, but come together for a common community. They wanted that craft beer market, which I was providing. And the funny thing is, if you notice on here, you don't see anywhere on here Kryptonite or any of my personal branding on there. And that's the implementation of an old idea or old quote by Mark Twain. I'm going to paraphrase it by all means. You will be amazed what can happen when you don't care who gets the credit. Say it one time. You can be amazed what happens when you don't care who gets the credit. And I've adapted it to my own business, and you'll hear me say I'm this or I'm that. We start off from the very first slide, we call it concierge branding. But one of the big things I found is I'm a brand journalist, or a branding ghostwriter. Sorry, branding ghostwriter, because you've heard the ghostwriter term normally used with a journalist or writing books. But the idea of a ghostwriter is to be the person behind the scenes that nobody knows is there, so they can help communicate either the story of somebody else, or sometimes make sure the message gets heard more than the messenger. And that's what this really is an implementation of. And this again was done back in 2014. And again, this at that time I think raised up the whole $1 10 years later. So, and by the way, the price of glasses still to this day are about $1 for pint glasses. Not that I'm trying to sell you any, but if I will give you an opportunity to buy them if you need. But I keep going back to that because that is the essential thing. And when we talk about community and glasses, and this is another thing we did with Kryptonite, and I've seen other places, like, again, when you go into places, you see mug clubs, they can hang them up. And they would have their names on them. This will allow people to literally put their name out there and have like a badge that they would do, and they can show when they go into a place. And I think Old Chicago still does it the best out of all of them. You can see all the plaques hanging on the wall. And then each year, what they're smart enough to do is they make you buy a new version of the mug, and they take the plaque. When you make the mug, you get a second plaque, and then they'll go hanging on a wall. So you now have your name hanging on a wall somewhere. If you didn't do it in high school, now you can do it at Old Chicago for beer drinking. Life goals, people, life goals. But you see, there's always an opportunity for stuff. And I'll swear I'll move off glassware here in a second. So the next thing, we had a package license for selling alcohol before COVID begins, because now the laws have changed. And allowing us to sell packaged goods, we literally went down to Kentucky, Craig, the manager, and myself from Kryptonite, and we went and picked out our own single barrel of Knob Creek. We got to taste test a few barrels, and we picked the one we liked and create our own flavor profile with it, or pick the flavor profile we liked out of it, I should say. So we took a little video with our phones and made it into a commercial and put it on TV, which I'll play here later for those who want to stick around and see some of these self-glorifying ads. But the idea was, typically we buy a bottle of Knob Creek for around $47, but buying it in bulk through a barrel now brought the cost down to about $33, and when it's all said and done, it worked out to be about $29 a bottle. Okay, great. We're able to sell it in a package by itself and had our label on it, say Kryptonite on the bottle, and we literally, put every single label on every bottle went through. So we started selling that when it came back, and it did pretty well, but not as good as I hoped to do. So then what I did is I went back to my glassware, and I created a custom branded rocks glass. And Tim, I don't know if this can be seen in there or not, but basically it's got Knob Creek on there, which it was, named Kryptonite, hand selected barrel because we picked it ourselves, and then the barrel number of 1615. That was our barrel number. So what I did then is I, again, paid $1 for each glass, put two of them together and in a box, and I upped the price by $10, and I sold 136 bottles the next weekend. That's what packaging and branding can do, because nobody drinks bourbon alone, at least admittedly, and everybody loves to share a good glass of bourbon. It's a community thing. So you package two glasses together versus one, upcharge $10 for it, and another $2 cost in it, and you raise your profitability on it. And then again, not only did you have a hand barrel thing, but you had something that will now last on shelves and always remind you back to the brand you're loyal to. Make sense? So the give to get I mentioned on some of the posts. What we do now and what we love seeing out there, and this will make sense, not just a shameless plug, but when this thing's all done, and Vince, I ask you to share my email address, chris@ronanbranding.com. I want anybody who wants their own free t-shirt with their own logos and own branding on it, because, hey, your ad would look better on a t-shirt than a billboard, just saying. I'll print you your own branded t-shirt for free and mail it to you. I'll just need to know your size. You need to give me, but here is how you're going to get one. Is I need to hear your why you're doing what you do and what makes you unique and what makes you important. You inspire me and move me, I'll print you a shirt. That's it. Obviously you have to email me, so there's 2 steps. But if you can't inspire me or make me want to be excited about your brand, and you can't communicate that effectively, concisely, if you write me a whole page, I'm telling you, I'm not going to read the email. I'm just not. And think about that when it comes to your advertising, because this essentially is what we're doing. We're advertising now. We're advertising. We're telling our story, and I'm asking you to tell me your story. But the people that want to listen to it, I mean, our attention spans are so short these days. You can be lost in a tweet. You can be lost in a moment. So when you go to share your message, make sure it's concise and make sure your why is really quick. So, shameless plug back to that. The idea of advertising and branding and putting it onto things can be literally done anywhere and anything, but it needs to connect. Okay, and you need to think about that from your social media when you're posting things. Again, I told you I only post really personal things. I mean, I did basically fill my feed, I guess, with, selfish promotion for this thing, which I kind of hate doing. Like you saw, Vince, I did it one time last week and one time last night and one time, or maybe 2 times today, just to, I didn't want to have an empty house. Let's be honest. I'm an egomaniac. I need the attention. Thank you for giving it to me for a little bit. But that's it. That's what social media is. People's favorite conversation pieces are what? This goes back to Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends, Influence People, Chapter 1. People's favorite conversation pieces are themselves. What about me? And, people all the time ask, you see this on Instagram, you see this on Facebook? No, I didn't see it, because if you weren't talking about me, I'm being honest, I'm not looking at it. And people aren't usually doing that. They're going to share pictures of themselves. So if they're going to share pictures of themselves, again, they're sharing pictures of community and what it means to them. That's why you'll see when we post this later, you'll see people sharing, because it's enabling them to participate in the brand and the memories. The memories are important. So we said we start with the end experience. And what I mean by that, and this was evolved from actually doing events. And we did this for Screw City Beer Fest, which we do plan and hope on doing this year. Again, shameless plug. September 11th. The idea of that was to build community. And we did it backwards again, where we advertised the first year, second year, but after that, we stopped advertising for it. We no longer advertise for it because we did sell it the first year, the day of the event, I think like an hour into the event. And then the next year we sold out like 2 or 3 hours before the event. And the third year, we saw that people were getting excited for buying tickets. We sold out, at that time, we sold out, I think maybe 2 months in advance. And I said, what if we created an event for selling tickets? Create an experience for the experience. And what we did is we called it, our beer fest goes Screw City Beer Fest, so we called it the Screw Drive. We picked a holiday or a reference point that people could connect with pretty easily and remember. And that time waterfront was still going on, and we were down there by the waterfront, and we wanted to use that geolocation as part of advertising and what people already connected to in this community was waterfront, and everybody knows it was done on Labor Day weekend. So we went in this intentionally with the idea of it will always be the Saturday after Labor Day. So 10.2, almost 11 years later, still Saturday after Labor Day. But then we wanted to put an event on to sell the event, and we created a screw drive, which then we decided to put the Saturday after Memorial Day. So we had another pivot point or another anchor point that people can easily reference. So when tickets go on sale, they go on sale the Saturday before Memorial Day. When's the event? Saturday after Labor Day. And then what we started doing is, because I saw the numbers, basically what boils down to of people going to the beer festival and the numbers I wanted for my bar. So I created an event outside my four walls again, and we threw a party to sell tickets to a business, and we didn't charge people to get into this ticket buying event, but they're paying $50 to $70 a ticket. And we decided to do it that first Saturday. We had no idea what would happen. The overhead, the risk wasn't too great to worry about, but we did it. And I remember telling my staff the night before that, hey, plan on getting here. Tickets go on sale at noon. I have no idea what time people show up, so plan on getting here like 10 a.m. If I couldn't sleep that night, I went in there at 7 a.m. and there was this nice, not older, just right age lady waiting outside the bar at 7 a.m. And I said, excuse me, what are you doing here? She goes, well, I'm here to get those tickets for Screw City. My son told me that, Mom, I need these tickets for me, and I don't live there. And the only way to get these VIP tickets was you have to be there to buy them. Otherwise, you can't get in. I want tickets. So she got there at 5 a.m. To get it. And again, I walked there at 7 a.m. In a matter of 5 minutes, there were people lining up, started to trickle in. By 8 a.m., we had about 120 people waiting in line around the corner to buy tickets at noon that Saturday. So we planned on starting like at 10. We had music lined up, entertainment for people that was starting at 10, because we want to make it a big event and a big experience, but we underestimated the community of supporters. The following year, we picked up on that, and obviously we were ready by 6 a.m. and people were there by 5 a.m. And if you weren't there by 6 a.m., you weren't getting a ticket and lined to buy a ticket at noon. See where I'm going with this? We create an exclusive community, limited community, and turn it into a celebration of our community at the same time. So we enable things like bottle sharing. Bottle sharing means that we're letting people bring their own alcohol in, and we sell alcohol, so isn't it cutting our profits? No, we're adding to our community. Let's let them share their rare bottles that otherwise they wouldn't be able to go share. That's what an experience is. And you can see that we had an experience with the Screw City Beer Fest, but we want to create a new experience. And there's a little known secret for those who go to these, we call them screw drives. The VIP holders, they prefer the screw drive over the Screw City Beer Fest. It's plain and simple. And the screw drive is really free. So that's what community can do. And of course, there's opportunities to carry that forward in everywhere you go. So we talk about purpose, and when we do things, there's always a purpose why we pick and choose things. And we picked and choose, this is a howler. A howler is a 23-ounce vessel that allows you to fill up at bars and get filled up. So it's got the wide mouth, and it's vacuum sealed, double lined, so you can bring it on the road and go to places like Prairie Street Brewing, and you can have your badge out here of honor showing that you got the Screw City. But then the thing about purpose now is we chose a brand called Mir, M-I-I-R. And Mir is the only water container used by Patagonia or sold to Patagonia. And why is that? It's because Mir gives back to water and clean water initiatives all over the world. They literally go to places in Africa and all over the world and dig up wells and put water purification systems in for clean water around the world. There are also most companies, if you go to their website, Mir, MIIR.com, and you can look on their website, and they will show you in full transparency how they spend their money and why you're paying $50 for a water jug, essentially. Or actually, I think these are $75, is what retail is. $75, and everybody talks about Yeti and things like that. but those in the know that meter gives something more and gives back. So it goes back into the community. The shirts we print on, and it will stand on it somewhere, I'll explain in a second. The shirts we print on, these are made from recycled plastic bottles. So each shirt printed, we save at least between 3 and 6 water bottles from the ocean and goes into making the shirt. And yes, this is a soft shirt. This is an all-made shirt, which some of you might know because of Red downtown, which we print 815s, and Jared's part owner of that brand. So I'm actually buying a competitor's brand shirt to print on. You think about competition, it's not competition. If you can respect what somebody else is doing, is like, get past your own ego, basically. And I have a giant ego. But it's got to serve a purpose, and this serves a purpose. And if you want to subscribe to that purpose, then you have to live that purpose. It just can't be done when it's convenient. And that's what branding and messaging should be doing. Because you still can get other awesome howlers out there. This is a 23-ounce howler as well, which I love. And this is one now that I got because functionality is great for carrying beer, but go to the kids' baseball games. I can't be noticed as the guy drinking beer out of a howler like that. So I like to be a little more discreet, and I can still fill it up wide mouth. But now, put this on, super, you can clip it to your carabiner, so we're always on the go, your bags. And now I have a drink spout, so it looks like I'm drinking nice cool water, but I'm not. I'm so not. I'm drinking Tito's and tonic usually, or maybe Rockin' Vodka, another local plug. But that's just it, purpose. What's the purpose of using this stuff? So it's always good to have options. And just, if I can encourage anything when you're looking at branding, and we talk about opportunities and the obstacles to opportunity, but branding is literally everywhere. It's in your everyday life. Branding done right and branding done badly, ineffectively. I'll give you this thought. When you're watching ads for like Microsoft stuff, anything Microsoft or your PC-based stuff, your Samsung phones, other things like that, what are they always talking about? They're always talking about Apple this or Apple that. If you see an Apple ad, what are they talking about? Oh, our MacBook Pros help the artists create their piece, or our MacBooks help teachers communicate with students during these COVID times. They communicate to a community while Microsoft communicates to the competition. We want to be like so-and-so. You can do both, but one's trying to sell you something, one's trying just to connect with you. And what are you doing with your marketing and advertising at the end of the day? What's your purpose? What's your point? I know we got lots of time, or 18 minutes left, but I wanted to start open this up to questions. And
Yes, if there are any questions, please put them in the chat, and we'll let Chris answer those as they come in. While we're waiting, I'll remind you of the next SBDC virtual classroom. It is dealing with difficult people. And of course, we all have some of those in our personal and professional lives. So Norm Dassenbrook is going to be our presenter next week, and he'll give us some tips on how to manage those situations. Again, that's next week, next Thursday, 11 a.m. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, all Rockford SBDC, Small Business Development Center. And to sign up for our virtual classrooms, it's rockfordsbdc.org. Do we have any questions for Chris?
I think we have one from Danny. It says, give us more examples of the best brand experiences you have seen during the pandemic, virtual or other.
This is a total kiss butt moment right here, but I say anything Brand Fuel does. And Brand Fuel is Danny's company out in North Carolina. I think it's north, not south. It's one of the Carolinas. I should know that. But our community, the promotional products community, is a company called Common SKU. It's a software program, and I consider them like the Apple of our industry. We would normally go attend this live virtual events every January, and then there'd be offshoot events where they do like a weekend retreat where it's not like a rah thing. It's like, you get educated, but you meet your fellow community members of all, what would be considered competition. But the competition is really some of your best inspiration and the people that push you. So when the pandemic hit and we were not able to go do the event, again, they saw the obstacles, the opportunity, and we wanted to connect with our community because that's what we do. We're community connectors. They hosted an event on a platform called Hopped In. The first time I saw this was thanks to them. And they literally put on an event that made you feel like you were able to talk with your community in a whole different platform, what Zoom can do or anything I've seen before, with the virtual trade show event where you can literally go into different rooms digitally. You can watch a main stage. You can go in breakout groups. And they did what was like a random speed dating, basically, what it boiled down to. Every 3 minutes, you were able to talk with somebody. And I was able to meet old friends on there and connect for 3 minutes. And then I was able then to meet people that otherwise would never be able to attend these things. It was literally all over the world. So I talked to a person in India. I talked to a person in Australia that day. Even with the time change, they were up. And they were excited. And the girl from India was so excited. She's like, I never get to go to these things because I'm here doing this. And this made me feel like I was part of my company. And I'm able to now, she felt like she could sell better to her customers because she understood products in a different way. Kind of the Apple way. We're not selling a water bottle. We're selling a problem solving, and the problem for me was, my choice of hydration options. But that's just it. One person's problem is another person's blind spot. They don't see it as a problem. That was the very first experience that really opened up. And that's actually, that inspired me to do Screw City Beer Fest last year virtually, which was completely weird and different and not nearly as successful as the in-person event. But I got to try things, do things, and ship containers. So, that right there was something that, if you ask me what success is, something that inspires you to do something. Not just buy something, but subscribe to something and live and then implement. And then if you can wear it as your badge, you've done something pretty damn successful, in my opinion. Took me a long time to get there.
Any other questions, anybody, before we call it a day? If not, Heather, you got anything else to add before we end it?
Just to remind everybody about our virtual classroom next week. Another plug. And find us on those social media channels, Rockford SBDC and rockfordsbdc.org to sign up for our virtual classrooms. And I want to thank Chris very much for presenting to us. Lots of great information and a very unique presentation. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of the week. And then
someone did put, is there going to be a replay available? We did record this, so there will be, I believe, Heather, you put it on the YouTube channel. Is that right?
Yeah.
Or it will be? Okay.
Yeah.
It's going to be there in 1 week.
Okay. Perfect. Well, thank you, everybody, again. And thanks, Chris. And Chris, we'll put, I put your email in there already, chris@roninbranding.com. And then people can check you out there. And please reach out to him if you have any questions. So,
hey, real
thanks
quick,
again, everyone.
Real quick, man, since we have like a few minutes left and anybody wants to stay on, do you mind if I play this YouTube video Danny suggests? Because I'm telling you, anything Danny suggests is worth paying attention to.
Sure.
So, those who don't want to hop on anymore, by all means. So let me screen share real quick. Or Vince, are you able to screen share for me? I don't know.
It should still have you on there.
Here we go. All right, so.
The jerk.
Hey, easy now.
I love this movie.
Get that excited about nothing. Are you kidding? Hey, 73, Johnson, Maven, R. Stop funny now. Millions of people look at this book every day. This is the kind of spontaneous publicity. Your name in print that makes people. I'm in print. Things are going to start happening to me now.
Great movie.
So that does make me think of one thing that I know Danny did during the pandemic. I think there was no promotion, but there was promotion at the same time about what he did in our community. He sent his daughters out to the dollar store to go slip dollars randomly across the store. And then his other daughter filmed his daughter doing this, or took photos of it and posted it in. And the challenge was go do something randomly kind for somebody else today. And it was a simple thing. And they watched people's reactions of seeing the dollar, tucked in between two plates at the dollar store, or, a few dollars here and a few dollars there. And the amount of joy it brought people for those random acts of kindness. And again, it was the idea of didn't do it because nobody knew they were giving it to them. They didn't know where the credit, there's no credit being given to anybody, but it allowed them to go have an experience and do something good. And again, obviously they shared it with our community, which I know inspired other people and created action. And it built, in essence, more brand loyalty. Because what I'm doing right now, I'm talking with somebody who's my competitor in theory as a fanboy, because that's what advertising should do to you. It should create that enthusiasm that makes you want to talk about it.
All right, cool. Well, thanks again, Chris, and thanks to everybody for joining. And please remember, Thursday, 11 a.m., we usually have some great speakers on here for our virtual classrooms. So check us out.
Hey, usually what?
Well, usually before this one. I'm just kidding. But thanks again, everybody. And I think that's it for us today. So you have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you soon.